multiple types of scans back into the software. So one of the first things that you need to do inside of here under clouds is be able to clean it. You can export to an ASCII, you can resample, and you can transform the cloud to a, so that it's in its right location if you got some georeferenced points. Now what I've done is hit the draw option, the view option, and this is what the cloud looks like. All right. So you can see the cloud here, and one of the main features that I want to start going over on this is to be able to extract information out of here under the Action tab. Inside of the Point Cloud module, you've got 4 tabs at the top. You've got Project, Scene, Camera, Action, then you've got Data. You're mostly going to be working in the Action tab and the Project tab within the software. So one of the things that we want to do here is we want to go ahead and select our information about our trees and go ahead and plot those out. But before I get started, Butch, are you there?
Yes, Scott, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. All right, if you can hear me, that's good. Make sure you just put your phone on mute. And I'll be asking people, go ahead and type in your questions if you got questions while you go through here, and we'll be able to answer those for you. Whatever we don't answer during this, we get a list of those questions, and we'll be sending you emails back explaining how to do certain things inside of Cloud. All right. So again, the first thing I want to do is let's extract out some feature items, which are trees, and I'll pick on points. And inside of here, we've got a feature type, which I'll go ahead and select it to tree. My coordinate point number will be 1. And on my description here, I'll pick code, and I'll pick on tree. And my first tree that I want to do is my magnolia. Inside of here, this is actually using a Carlson Survey FLD file. So it's actually going to take you from the Carlson Survey software package, being able to use that inside of the Point Cloud module. So I've got that listed there, so I just hit the check mark. And then what I can do is go in here, and I can start panning around, zooming into certain areas. And we'll just start right here. And one of the things about this for the trees that's really nice, this is something new. If some of you already have Point Clouds, we've set up to use FZ code. So when I pick on this tree at the bottom, it actually draws in and it gives me the height of the tree and the diameter of the tree for the drip line. And you can see how quickly that does that for you. And I'm going to go through here and start picking these trees. And you can see how nice it does a really good job finding that information for you. All right, let me go right here. All right, now, while you're in here, if you need to pan around or zoom around while you're in the command, you can just hit the control button and you can slide it over. And I've got one more tree that I want to pick here, which is this one. And so when I pick at the bottom of the tree, you can see it finds the information for you. Now we're going to switch over, and we've got smaller trees to do now. So I've just got one set up here. It's more of just a tree here as far as what type. We're just going to go with this tree, and then what I'm going to do is be able to come in here and then start picking these trees. Now watch how this works. When I pick at the bottom of this tree, it finds that information going up. And it gives me the tree, the size, and the height of it. So that's a very nice tool working with this. Now, we'll just go over here real quick. And I've got this tree that I'm going to do. And we're going to keep on panning this over. And you know what? Well, the other thing that you can do inside of the software with all the panning information is we've got different viewports as far as you can go from the, you can do a zoom extents, you can go from the top view, you can come in here. And let's say another thing that you want to do is you want to, let's say you exit out of this command for some reason. So if I end the mode, watch this, because I always have this question coming from people. I can zoom around to where I want to be inside of here. And then if I pick on point again for create, it keeps me right in the same location where I was at. It didn't have to reset anything else up. So I'm ready to go right now, so I can just come in here and click. Click on this tree. And let's pan over. Grab this tree here. And I believe I've got one more tree right down here, a real small one. And if you notice here, that I didn't have that great of a scan on it, but it still was able to find that tree information. So that's a very nice tool to be able to see things in here. Now, we'll go over to this other side, and we've got 3 more trees that we would like to go ahead and take a look at. And let's go something like this right here. All right. Now, I'll come back to the points, where's exactly where we need to be. I'll come down to the bottom. We'll just click right there. Click right here. Click right here. You can see how it found the classic tree size, and it found the information that it needed right there. All right, now, we've got some more feature extractions that we want to do with this. And the next one that I'd like to do, it's going to be a power pole. So maybe it's a light pole. One of the first ones that I'd like to do here is going to be, I got a couple of different types here going through this. So I've got your classic one with the 3 lights on top. I've got the one with the arm sticking out, which is a nice feature right here. And I've got just a classic pole with a light on it. So we've got multiple types of poles. But the first one I want to do is the one with the 3 lights on top here. So I'll come back in here. We'll pick on light poles. And I've got one called LP3 lights as far as my description code. So I'll come in and pick. And then what I'll do is I'll pick at the bottom of this. You can see it's got a base. And it finds that information going up. Now what I'll do is just pan over here. And we'll do the one with the arm. And what I really like how it was programmed in the software so that when I do the one with the arm, I'm not having to rotate it. When you'll see this a little bit later on when we get back into CAD, when I pick on this, it's automatically going to draw that arm going in the right direction. We've detected that. We've actually made it very smart as far as being able to find the information that we need. Now another classic one is this one here, and this is more of just a this is just a regular light pole. So I'll pick at the base of it, and it finds its information. All right, we'll zoom out of here, and we'll kind of spin it around a little bit here. Then we'll pan over in this direction, and I've got 3 more lights with the arm sticking out. And so what I'll do is come back in here, and we'll grab it with the 1 arm. It had 2 arms. We could grab it also. So what I'll do is just come in here and kind of zoom in towards the bottom of the base and pick on it. Pick on the one across the street. And then pick on the one that's on this corner right here. And it found that information. Now I've got one more light pole that I'd like to show you. And that's going to be a halogen light that's on the edge of the parking lot. All right. And then we'll be able to tell you what, I'm just going to come in here and do that. And then be able to come over here. All right, we're just going to spin this around right here. Zoom right into that light pole. Now with this light pole, what you can see here, you can see that it's just a halogen light. So what I can do is come down here at the bottom, pick on it, and it extracts that information. Now, we can also do fire hydrants, which is a nice tool, because being able to show the fire hydrants, the extraction of it, you can also get that back into CAD 3D. So if I come in here, we take a look at this, I will just go ahead and change the feature code type to hydrant. We are going to be adding more feature types into the software, but right now we've got your hydrant, light poles, and your trees. So when I pick at the bottom of this fire hydrant, it puts in my actual symbol there. All right, I'll go ahead and end this mode for my information here. The other thing I want to do is go over to my points. And if I ever need to edit my points, I can just double click, and here's all my point information. If I need to delete one out of here, if I need to make any changes, description types, any of that, I can do it right inside of PointCloud. Okay? All right. Let me go ahead and get out of that. And then what I want to do is, let me go ahead and let's extract this out to fill to finish. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and use a coordinate file. So I'll type in, this is the Carlson CRD file. So I'll just give it a name, and we'll just call it points for right now. That's fine. Whoop, I got to put my extension in, .crd file. And you can see how it drew it right back into CAD. But again, I want to show you these arms. Look at the arm right here, how it's facing the road exactly the way it should be. We've detected that. Now, let's take this up into 3D real quick so you can see it. So I'll just go to the Viewer, Carlson 3D Viewer window, and I'm back in AutoCAD here. Also, you could be inside of IntelliCAD. Kind of the option is yours on that. But when I come back in here, hopefully you guys, the speed on this is, as you guys can see it while I'm talking here. But you can see the classic trees, the different types of poles. There's the 3-light, there's the halogen light, here's a pole, but then also the detail of the actual light pole itself. That's a 3D tree, power pole, and they're coming in at a little bit different sizes. It depends on what size the actual extraction was on the pole. And you can see the trees coming in very well here as far as the smaller trees compared to the bigger trees. All right, so we'll go back into Point Clouds because we've got more things to do inside of here. Let's go ahead, and what I want to do now is I just need to remove this information as far as which light pole is going where, how it does the line work there. Now, I'll go ahead and save this out, and I will go ahead and zoom out a little bit here. Now, we're going to do the curb work going through here. Now, we have a couple of different ways of doing curb work. For people that have Carlson Point Clouds right now, we just added a new command in the software. So again, if I'm doing anything with the Point Cloud, I will go back over to Action. And the way I created my points, I'm able to create polylines. So I'll go ahead and go to my polyline list. I have a snap option here, which we have low, high, low edge, high edge, average point, end point, midpoint, node, and nearest. So I'm going to go with the low edge here. I'm going to tell it to start a new line. I'm going to have it to do my curves, so I can do a curve setting inside of here as far as the different types of curves that you may be working with. Today, I'll be working with curve number 2, which I will look at the top. I can see in the picture it gives me the top of it as far as how wide do I want to make it. I've got it set up for inches, so 3 inches. The taper, 3 inches. The base is going to be 6 inches. And I've got this set up so the drop on here, let's go with a 6-inch drop. And then I've got a 6-inch as far as the length. So it's pretty much a square square curve. And then the height in the back is 1 foot. So I'll just go ahead and hit the check mark here. And then when I move around in the point cloud, you can see up in the left corner here the red dots and also where you're connected. So what I want to do is just kind of pick a point, let's say right there looks like a good point, but I need to draw an arc. So what I'll do is pick the draw arc command, pick on the center here, and I'll window in here so you guys can see this a little bit better. And then also, let's go ahead and pan this way. And then I'm going to tell the end of the arc is right there. So it draws a classic arc for me. Now what I want to do is actually pan it maybe just a little bit more. And watch how it finds the corner going in here. I can come in here and I can say, you know what, that's a good shot there. Come over to this side. Now, it didn't find the corner yet, but watch this. When I come over here and pick, it finds that corner for me. So we were using some smart technology there to be able to find those corners easy to use. Then what you can do is very quickly just come in here and start picking your points on where you want to zoom into. And you can pan around. Again, you can rotate it in different angles so you can see certain things going through this. I'll kind of rotate it around here. And I'll say, you know what, I want to join it up right, let's go right there. And then I want to come over to this side. Now again, I've got another classic corner here. So I want to be able to find this corner and make sure I get it in the right location. So what I'll do is come over on this side and pick. And then I'll pick right here because it looks like there's a small curve right there. So I'll pick at this point, and it finds that corner for me. And then I can pick the arc command again. And I got a real small arc here. So I'll pick a point there and pick a point there. And it does my arc going around. Then it looks like there's a break point right here. So I'll just go ahead and pick that point. And we'll get kind of close in the corner here, but not exactly. Then we'll go ahead and spin this around a little bit more. And you can see now when I come over on this side, I'll find a point here. But watch when I pick this next point again, it finds the corner for me. You can see how it found it. All right, now I'll go ahead and spin this around a little bit more, and we'll start working down here at this end of the project. But better yet, I can just get close to it, somewhere right in here, and say, you know what, let's go ahead and find that shot. Let's go ahead and get in here and find this shot. And let's go find this corner. And again, I got another curve right here. So I'm going to get close to it right there. We're going to hit the little curve command, pick it right on the curve, and then we'll finish it out right there. Now guys, this is very classic right here as far as when you're dealing with scanners, how if you've got a power pole or a tree or something and the data behind it will be missing. One of the good things about the Carlson Point Clouds, being able to use this tool, is watch how I'm able to just jump across and it puts that line work in there for me. Also, if you notice, there looks like there's somewhat of a curve right in here. So I'll go ahead and pick and say, you know what, I got a kind of curve there, and we want to join back up right there. And you can see how it really matched in really nicely. And then we'll come in and pick this point, and we'll pick this point here. And again, you can see it's missing data there, and I can jump across. All right, let's go ahead and keep going on around, and we'll finish out our curve work here. And you're able to do the curve work really fast. You'd probably be able to go faster if you weren't talking like I was here. But you can see that I'm ready for my arc. So I'll pick my arcs here and say, you know what, my ending point, that is a good ending point right there. All right, now, another new tool we put in here is the draw to CAD command. So I can pick on draw to CAD, check on my 10 file, and I'm going to call this curve 1 because I got another curve to show you, but I'm going to show you the progressive curve command in there. So if I come in here and I pick on this, hit the check mark, it's asking for the 10 file. So it's making a 10 file of just the curve work. So we'll just call this curve 1, hit the save button, and that's done. Okay? Now, if I go back into CAD and do a zoom extents, there's the curve work drawn right there for me. And it's triangulated with the mesh. Okay? Now let's get back over and finish out our curve work in here. I'm going to go ahead and end my curve work for polyline 1. We're going to do this side over here. We're going to go ahead and start a new one. But this time, when I start it, I'm going to pick a point, but I'm going to check on a box called progressive mode. Something brand new in the software, so when I pick it, it actually starts finding the points and drawing in the actual curve work. You can see how it found it up to the curve right there. Now, if for some reason you don't like how it found certain information, you can always hit the undo information, and it undoes 1 or 2 spots back, however far back you want to go. Okay? The other thing that's nice is I'll just turn off the progressive mode, pick on arc. That's a nice spot there, and that's a good shot right there. And it puts my arc in for me. Now on here, I can tell it to draw it back to CAD. We'll call this curve 2. It's going to make a surface. And it should be drawn right back into CAD now. But what I'll do here is in this command, and we will go ahead and go, let's go ahead and just close out of, we'll leave that open for right now. Let's go back into here. And then when I do my zoom extents in CAD, you now can see the data that I have. I've got my curve work, I've got my 3D trees. I just visited a client last week who is doing probably 50% of their work or more is doing presentations, and this is a great way to go out and scan, be able to bring this information back into Carlson, and be able to do presentations with this. Now, I want to zoom it around.
Can you exaggerate the scale on that any, Scott?
Yes, you can also vertically scale and exaggerate anything that you want to in here. Now take a look at this, guys. You can see the classic curve detail, it's modeled going around it. I got a surface of that. I've got my fire hydrant right here, and I've got a very detailed fire hydrant. Okay, very detailed tree in here. So from the 3D side of things, I've got a very nice looking drawing here to work with. Now, some other things that you'd want to do with this file is once you get it into CAD, is you're probably wanting to be able to make a surface of it, that information. So let's do this. Let me go ahead and freeze off a few commands, layers here. And let's go ahead. I've got a layer here that I've got turned on. Will you turn that on, and we'll turn our break line on. Okay, that just kind of joins it up for me. I've got an overall boundary, which on the overall boundary, I just used the shrink wrap entities for time purposes. I thought I would just quickly just have it already in there. Now, what I'm ready to do is go into Carlson. I can go in the survey module, or I can go into the civil module, and I'm ready to make a surface of this. So when I go to surface and I go to triangulate and contour, I'm able to set up an actual pin face, which I'll call it tri-phase parking. My new surface that I'm going to make is going to be called parking. And I've got it set up to use inclusion-exclusion areas because I want to exclude out the actual curve work in here. So watch what I do here. I pick OK. Now it's automatically reading that there's some curve boundaries in here. I'm going to say no on this. I'm going to go ahead and select my inclusion. And then I'm going to come over here and select my exclusion. You know what? I've got my tri-faces on. Hang on one second. Let me turn off my tri-faces. There we go. All right. I'm sorry about that, guys. I just need to rerun that command one more time. And what we'll do is we'll just hit the no button. We will go ahead and select our, whoops, hang on, did I turn off the wrong feature there? Nope. Hang on. There we go. I'm just messing this up right now, guys, but I'll get it here. Just need to read the instructions, and then I should be good to go. I'll pick the inclusion area, the exclusion area on this one, and over here, okay. And then I'll go ahead and window in my break lines. It does my surface for me. Now, on my surface for my layer, I can come back into CAD, and I can come in here and I can change this layer out to be whatever I want it to be. So I'm going to change it out to be, oh, let's go for 53 here. Now when I come back over to my 3D viewer, let's go ahead and turn all our layers on real quick. Now when I come back to my 3D viewer, I'm able to pick on it and be able to see the detail that's in this. And you can see what I picked very close, the curve work here. All right. So I got very close to the same colors here that I'd want to change out with this. But I want to move on here, but I can show you how I was able to take a point cloud, get it back into CAD, have my 3D objects, and make a surface of it. Some other things that I'd like to do here is be able to go to my cloud, set up another view here, and on this view, what I'd like to do is show you some other tools inside of here. I'm going to show you a finished product once we're done here. So when I get back in here, I'll pick on it, and you can see from this right here, maybe I just want to make a mesh or get a bare earth of just this area inside. So what I want to do with this is come over to the Action tab, come over to, let's say I want to cut an area out. So I'm going to go to Polyline, I'm going to cut an area out right here. And it's going to cut the area out. Hey, Butch, is there a lag or something? I'm noticing here that the...
Yeah, there is a little bit of a lag for it to display the actions you're doing just because of the bandwidth.
Okay, that's what it's seeming like here. Just tell me if I get too far ahead, tell me just to slow down.
Okay.
All right. I've got this in here. I want to get rid of that area, so I'm going to hide it. And now what I want to do is just window in my area that I want to keep. So I want to keep this area right here. So I'm just going to do a big square going around it. It's got that area highlighted in red now. I'll hit the in mode. And now what I want to do is make a cloud of this. So I'm going to call this Cloud 2. And it's going to make this cloud. After I make the cloud, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in and I'm going to run the bare earth command on Cloud 2. And it's going to strip all the trees out, the power poles, and everything throughout the entire site. And this usually takes just a few seconds. You can see down at the bottom left corner, you're always looking down in the command history, and it told me Cloud 2 created. So I'm done there. So up at the top, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of scene 1. So it's going to ask me if I want to make a cloud. I'm going to say, no, I don't want to make another cloud of this. So I'll just hit the check mark, and that box is gone. Now when I go back to the cloud, I'll tell it to go ahead and view it. Come in here, and let's go ahead and make another color cloud right here. Now, on this area, this is where I'd like to come in here and run the bare earth command. Like, again, this is going to strip my trees out. And just to show you what I have here, you can see the trees and all the stuff, the power poles, stuff that I had earlier. You can see that information. I'm going to quickly do a top view, and we'll do a zoom extents. And I'm going to go ahead and get the bare earth command running here, which I just hit the control point. And it's going to ask me to make another cloud. I'm going to call this bare earth. And it's going to get started. Now, let me cover some things on the left-hand side for you as far as what exactly is this doing for me. So on the left side, you can see where it has number of slices. I've got it set up for 36. I've also got the slice vertical limit. I've got that set to 250,000. And I've got the highest vertical edge. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, this is the highest vertical feature in the ground surface. One thing that you would probably want to do is use some type of tolerance in with this. So for an example, if you had a curb that was 6 inches high, then you may want to enter something like a 0.75 to capture the curb with a kind of a buffer in between there. So that's what that highest vertical edge is. If you got a retaining wall, you'd want to go and use the measuring tool inside of Point Cloud and see how high that wall is and make sure you get it. Now, on the maximum slope here, this should be the steepest slope in the ground surfaces plus some extra for tolerances. For example, if the steepest ground slope is a 2-to-1 slope, then using something like a 60, which would be 50% plus a 10% buffer. The program removes data points that exceed the highest vertical edge and the max slope amounts when you use that. Now, for the search window length, this is how far from each data point that the program will check other data points for the highest vertical edge and max slope criteria. Then the last thing what you've got is the elevation noise, and this should be the expected elevation tolerance of the point measurement. So, for example, if you use a 0.1 when the data point elevations are within plus or minus 0.1 of the target surface, the program removes data points that are isolated and higher than this elevation tolerance. All right, guys, you can see here it already tells me that it created the bare earth. And what I can do now is come out of here, go back over to projects. I've got my bare earth created. I can come over to my view command. We're going to make another color here. It's going to be a color one. And now you can see that it stripped out a lot of my information that's going through this. Trees are gone, information's out of here. But there are some more areas that I would like to take out before I actually make my surface. So what I want to do here is go to my Action tab one more time, go to Polyline, and I'm going to remove some of this area right here. You can start seeing the yellow line going through this area. And I want to go up here also. We'll cut out some of this, and we'll go back around, and we will close this out. All right. It'll grab all that, highlight it in red. I'll tell it to go ahead and hide that information right there. And now what I want to do is just go ahead and put a rectangle around this because I want it to make a mesh now. So it's highlighted everything in red. That lets me know that it's grabbed all the points that I want to work with. And then I'm going to pick on the mesh button, and I'm going to have it make a mesh. Inside of here, I give it a name. I'm going to tell it the maximum angle. I'm going to say 170. I have a mesh vertical limit that I can set up for that. I can do multiple things with my mesh. I'll go ahead and get it started here, and it's going to start triangulating all these points. And you can tell from this site there's quite a few points in there. But Butch, while this is going right here, have you got a question from somebody?
Well, we got 2 or 3, Scott. I had one question come in. Can you set the camera view anywhere on the Point Cloud?
Yes, we can. That's back under the camera option tab, and I'll show you that as soon as this mesh is created. Did you have another one?
Let's see. I had a gentleman ask, can you view the color of a cloud like red, green, or blue?
Okay, yes. We can do that. That's under the data, and I'll show you that when I drag my mouse across the point cloud. You're going to be able to see the different colors in there. Okay, it's created my mesh now. So what I can do here is I'll go ahead and exit out of that. I do not want to create another cloud on this. And I'll come back over here to my mesh, and what I want to do here is create another view. But I'm going to create a new view here, but I'm going to call this mesh. It's going to be a color one, so I'll hit OK. And it's going to go ahead and read this file, and I'm going to see the mesh in here. Did you have a third one, Butch, or did you just have those 2 for right now?
Let's see. We did have someone ask, can you change the background and selection color?
Okay. Yep. Those are all 3 good questions. All right. It's triangulating. right now, so it's calculating the information. And guys, what you're seeing here, this is real live as it's working, what's going on. Now, as far as, somebody asked, as far as data, if you notice when I move my mouse on the screen, I can see the different colors going through here. If somebody asked for, Butch, you can see that. When I get darker, so I can see that information. Now, as far as changing the background color and that information, that's under settings. I can pull that up to my viewer, and then background color, I can change that to whatever I want. My selection color, I can say change that. There's other settings in here like a boundary box, pivot points, that type stuff. So yes, all that can be changed out. Now, one of the other options that somebody asked was the actual camera view. Okay, so when you're looking at the camera view of this, how can you set that up? So one of the things that you can do is come into camera, and where it says pivot, it's on automatic right now, and what you can do is pick on custom, and then what you need to do is where it says position, hit the little icon, and hit your control button and pick a point, and you'll see the red dot be able to jump to another location here. So that will allow you to be able to customize your point location. There's the location of the red dot now. All right? All right, so we've got a surface made. It's in Point Clouds. We also have a surface made of our parking lot that's in AutoCAD that Carlson can use on that side. Some other things you can do with this is down here at the bottom where we have the extract commands, we can extract break lines, we can extract contours. So if I go to contours here, I can very quickly, we'll just do a 1-foot contour, and we'll turn on pretty much all the different smoothing factors. Apply outer reduction level, we can reduce vertices, and we can do some smoothing here. So what I want to do is hit the check mark here, and it'll actually extract my contours inside of the point cloud. Once that does that, I can either take it back into CAD if I want to, or I can leave them in here and work with the actual surface that I've created inside of CAD. You can see I've got my contours here. The other thing you can do inside of here is we can do profiles and sections. So if I set up a profile, I can pick a point here, pick another point, hit the enter button, and it's extracting profiles for me. Now, I can save it to a file, or I can save it to the project. At the moment, I'm just going to save it to the project here, and that one's done. Now, let me just show you a cross-section inside of here. We'll say an interval of 25 feet, offset distance of 15 feet to the left and 15 feet to the right. I can also extract along a center line, so if you have a carlson.cl file, I can follow it and extract information. I'll pick a point here, I'll drag it across, same area, and it's going to extract my cross-sections from that 10 model. Once it's done that, it automatically is going to save it back out to the project directory. And you can see where, with the magenta lines, where those were cut at in the project. So inside of Carlson Point Clouds, where there is many, many options, many more tools inside of here to be able to work with. Now, let's get back to the actual project, and let's show some more finished project in this. One of the other things that's really nice about this is being able to plot out information. So I've done a profile here. So if I tell it to export out my profile, I can also tell it just to draw. But if I export it out, it's actually going to make a Carlson profile. So it successfully made that. I can now go to Profiles, Draw Profiles, load up that parking profile right there. And there's some settings in here. I can do it in Sheets if I want to do it in Sheets. There's some settings in here I can set up as far as my grid. What I'm going to do is just plot this out on the drawing that you guys can see that I could, like I said, I could set up 1-foot grid information if I need to do that. But there's my elevations. There's my grid of my profile, my parking lot. You can kind of see the actual curb work there. So it's a very nice tool there. Also, with the cross sections we just did, back into point clouds, we can extract those out also. So that's going to give you many, many different options within this. All right, let's go ahead and save this CAD drawing here. One of the other things I want to show is once you have this information done right here, it's very easy to really make it into a full working project, which you can see here. What I've done with this is, guys, I did this yesterday as far as just doing some commands. On the parking striping, I actually used the point cloud tool for polylines, and then I just went into the area layout, and we have a park striping in with it. So one of the tools that I want to show you here is just the actual 3D view and how nice you can make this in a very short time. For a presentation or for an actual project, if people are wanting to see certain things on a project, you can see how I've got my parking striping in here, I've got my lights in here, I've got the data in here, I've got my fire hydrant, I've got the light poles, which are facing in the right direction when I picked on them. That's very important to notice. It's got my curb work in here. And you can see the fire hydrant right there. And it's got my 3D trees extracted out here to the correct size that they need to be. Okay. Now, let's do this. What I've done here is let's go ahead and go into our surface 3D viewer, and let's do a 3D fly-through. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use screen entities. I've got a polyline that I want to use, and I'm just going to select my 3D entities that I have here, and I'll pick OK. Polyline to follow, so I'll pick the polyline here. And you can see I've got my car set up here. I can hit the run command, but maybe before I do that, I can select what view I want to see this at. So, and I can also change my speed. We're going to go at probably about 4 miles an hour here. I'll hit the run command, and it's going to drive through my parking lot. And it also gives me up in the top right corner what slope I'm at, what elevation I'm at, and you can see how your whole project can come together as far as, you know, extracting information, actually being able to use a point cloud, what surveyors and engineers have always wanted to use a point cloud for. Being able to see the different information, being able to extract real data out of there, coming back into the CAD environment, because we all know the finished product is going to be a CAD drawing going back to your client or for presentation. All right, and you can see it kind of go around here, very classic on the light poles. I have to get a shout out for Florence on that. Flores did a great job on getting those over, and also our programming staff. Go right over here. Again, look at the detail in the curb work. And let's just switch that over to here. All right. It's almost finished out right here. But I just wanted you guys to see this information and how it actually works. And you can see how it just parked it right there in the parking space. So it's a very nice tool. It can be very animated on that side. Like I said, very powerful tools within the Point Cloud module. All right, Butch, let me pull up some stuff here real quick. All right, was there other questions that people had on the software?
Yes, there was, Scott. I have 4 or 5 other questions that came up.
Okay.
The first is, how do you bring in survey control points into a point cloud?
Okay, well, let's do that. Inside of here, we can go in under the instrument. We have control points where I can tell it to import. So when I tell it to endpoint, let's go ahead and I'll grab CM dot, it's I guess control monuments. I'll pick that, pick open. It's going to ask me, I can rename all the items. I'm just going to rename them to concrete monument here. And we'll start with the, let's start with index. I'm going to start off at 100 here. All right. It's successfully done that. Now what I can do is tell it to come back in here and let's see. Let me pull up a view here so you can see this come in very easy for you. So what I want to do is let's come up in here and let's go ahead and let's tell it to make a view. But what I can do is I can append it to the existing. So this is also a good way to bring in multiple scans together. So I'll pick on it here, tell it which one to append, hit the check mark, and then it'll append it and put my points right into the drawing here. Oh, did I pick the right one? That's the question. Okay, let me see here. Oh, let me hit append. Let me try that again here. All right. What was the next question after that, Butch?
In point clouds, can you combine multiple scans together?
Yes, you can. You can combine multiple scans together. On doing that, what you would do is, again, you would just basically stitch them together. So inside of this, I think I picked on the wrong view before. That was my problem. Okay. There we go. Sorry, guys. I picked on the wrong view there. I've got it now. Here's my 4 points that came in for my control monuments here.
Okay.
Okay. Now, being able to stitch things together, what you do with that is, again, you would just pick on the cloud, right mouse click, pick on the view, and you would hit the append button just like I did the points, and then you would pick which cloud to append it to, and then you would just hit the check mark.
Okay.
So it's a simple tool to be able to do that.
I've got another question here, all the way from over in Europe. Somebody's watching this pretty late in the evening. Can you drape an image on a point cloud?
Yes, we can. What we can do with that, and I'll pull up one here. Let's just go to a project. Back out of here. Let's go into here, and let's go to a drape image. I just had one of these ready just because most people like to see it actually work. And see, I've got 2 different types I want to show you. The first one right here is a topo, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an image. So if I go to Action tab, again, Project Action tab, that's where you're going to be working at, and I go to Image, I'm going to select my image, and I need to get right to the project here, and it's going to be a topo, JPEG. Pick open, and it's going to drape it on here. Now this image here is a quad map. In the U.S. we have quad maps. I'm not sure in Europe what they have on that, but what you can see on this right here is the detail within the quad map draped on top of the surface as far as the ponds, the detail of the contours from that quad map, and how it matches up very nicely with the actual scan itself. Okay, now let me show you another way. Something else here is I've got a coal mine, and I actually want to drape a picture. So if somebody takes a picture, a lot of scanners have cameras built inside so that you can bring in a picture in with the point cloud. So what I can do here in this area, I'll go to Action again, we'll go to Image, I'll select an image here, and this time I'm going to grab the coalmine.jpg. I'll pick the Open button, and it'll drape this image, and you can tell from the pictures that this client used, they actually stitched the pictures together with this JPEG. and then it's going to drape it right on top of this mine, and you can tell very easily the roadways in the black and white picture as it goes down inside of here. You can also tell the areas that it was stitched together. Okay?
I had a couple others too, Scott. One was that came over the web was are the models of the trees and other vertical features, 3D blocks, included with the software, and how extensive is the library of 3D blocks?
We can get you the 3D blocks. We don't. That's not a problem at all. Coming with the software. We are going to be building more and more 3D blocks within the actual surface here. So again, what you see going through this right here are 3D blocks that people can get from Carlson.
Another one, Scott, that is from myself. It's one that sometimes you neglect to bring up because you work on it every day. But how powerful a computer are you working on, which I think will surprise everybody?
Yeah, well, guys, the thing about it is with Carlson Point Clouds, it's one of those things where we work up to billions of points, okay? So as far as your computer size, it all depends on what kind of computer you have. I mean, my computer, I got 3 gigs of RAM. That's usually what people are looking at on there. So a lot of people I talk to, they have up to 4 gigs or 8 gigs of RAM, 64-bit computer. I have a 32-bit computer that you're watching with all this. So as far as the speed of it and everything, it's a very nice tool to be able to use without having to go buy new hardware. That's something that's very critical with Carlson, is that the software should be designed to be able to handle whatever computer you have.
The last thing I have come through, Scott, is what's the cost of the module, and what are the upgrade fees per year on this? Okay, well, guys,
these are very important questions here. The cost of the Point Cloud module is $5,000, and then the maintenance, the yearly upgrades on it, is $500 if you want to get maintenance. With Point Cloud being the product like it is, I do recommend getting the maintenance side. We're adding new features every day inside of it. So it's one of those things where it's $500 for the maintenance. The Point Cloud module itself is $5,000. One thing else I also recommend, if you don't have Carlson Survey and Civil, I do recommend getting the Carlson Survey and Civil package, or you could get the Civil Suite, which has hydrology and GIS also, for $3,500. So,
yeah, that was another question that came through, Scott, was do they need or have to have Survey and Civil to use it? And it's just recommended, but you don't have to have it, correct?
You don't have to have it, but it is recommended, especially in the field to finish side. Well, you actually would need it in the field to finish side because that's where you're going to build your field to finish is inside the survey side.
That's all I have from the web right now.
Okay. Well, guys, thank you very much. That took right at almost an hour. Also, one thing I wanted to bring up is for people to check out our website. We do have movies on the far right side if you pick on movies. I have made some more movies up here as far as Point Cloud volumes, 3-minute long. I'd recommend for you to watch that. It's also a good way to do training for yourself so you can start the movie and stop it. I've also got the Point Cloud Clean and Bare Earth, and I've got the Point Cloud Field to Finish, and I've got the Point Cloud Contours. This movie also is recorded today. That'll be up there on a webinar movie. That'll be an hour long. And then I will be making some more short movies, taking it back what you saw today as far as the 3D features and being able to work those back in CAD and making a surface back in CAD. So
Scott, I will put in one more plug here. This is available directly from us, but any of our dealers, any of your local dealers that sell Carlson software have this module available for you if you are purchasing scanners from local hardware dealers.
That is correct. So I want to thank everybody for watching this today, and please let me know if you have any other questions, and we will get those responded back to you. Thank you very much.